Yeah.
76ers are taking on the Miami Heat here. And, well, I'll tell you, I think, I can't make a case for the Sixers at even, 10 and a half points. Um, but I kind of think that they might play better tonight than they did the other night. They did have a 1 point lead at halftime.
Hmm.
And this is a tough one to call. The pace of play has been erratic at best. At times in that first half, they were playing extraordinarily faster than average, and then the second half was Miami just put them in the mud, and the Sixers didn't have anything to really answer. But what do you see in this matchup and any possible best bet opportunities?
Yeah, I think you mentioned, the erratic pace of play in this one. To me, majority of the time though, it went under the pace that they normally play. If you look at how they did in the regular season through the playoffs, even including the first round and the first game, they're playing a slower pace than they did in the regular season, and saying a lot because they were both in the bottom five in pace during the regular season. And if you look at defensive rating as well, we're looking at both of the teams actually picking it up defensively as well. To me, I'm seeing another under type game. I know, you talked about the erratic pace, with the small ball and all that stuff. But even when they did play small ball, they were still playing a slow pace. The fast pace, I feel like had to do with some of the turnovers that happened during the run in that second quarter. But to me, throughout the game, it was pretty stuck at a slower pace. And to me, solid defense, and a slow pace usually points towards the under here. I know this total is low, but there's money going towards the over, and so the total's climbing up, and that's giving us a little bit of value to take the under here. One trend that I was looking at here, I did mention this in the Wager Talk today, is to support the under. Philly as road dogs this season during the regular season. Um, they're 13-4 to the under, averaging 102.1 per game and allowing 105.8 per game in those situations. But if you add that they played against a playoff type team, so teams with a winning record, they're 11-2 to the under in those situations, averaging 100 points per game and allowing 105 per game. So there's a little bit of value there still going to the under, even at the opening total. But now that it's climbing up a little bit, we're seeing a little bit more value. So to me, I would only look towards the under here. As far as from the side perspective, I do see a little bit of a bounce back from the Philly side offensively, but I just don't know if it's enough to cover the spread here. I think Philly really has them outmatched nearly at every aspect of this game, especially when it comes to what's important in the playoffs, which is depth, defense, and coaching. And to me, it's just really tight there with the line being so big. So focusing on the total and the under there.
Yeah, and just a little thing at the bottom there: the Heat are 19-5 against the spread when facing an opponent that makes 36% or more of their threes this season. And the Sixers overall are a decent 3-point shooting team at the NBA level. And Miami took them completely out of it. That's why I can't commit to the Sixers here to bounce back. Prop bet wise, here's another number one seeds that you can read: 3.5, 9.5 points, and that's self-explanatory there. But in terms of the prop bet, the one I'm looking at, Ronald, is Jimmy Butler over 28.5 points and assists, minus 108 right now at FanDuel. I would play over in that. And I like Tyrese Maxey, and this is possibly a reach, but over 25.5. Initially, I'll tell you the truth, it's contrarian because I looked at that number and I thought, that's way too high. And there's
Mhm.
just no way. And whenever my experience and intuition tells me with it, if a number initially is like that and I have no reason to say that other than my intuition, then I start looking the opposite direction. So 25.5 plus 100 at FanDuel. Obviously, at FanDuel, they're betting a lot of unders with that particular prop bet. So I like that one as well in this matchup. And that doesn't mean that I'm betting over either. It doesn't mean that I'm
Mhm.
betting under for the full game. It just means that those two prop bets, I think, are worthy of pizza money for sure.
Yeah,
So
just to add to that, because you were mentioning, the struggles that Philly has from the 3 point line. I think it has to do with not having Embiid, because there's no one in the post that the Miami Heat have to double. No outside shooter is gonna have the space that they would typically have. You have DeAndre Jordan down there or something like that. That I mean, he's not worthy of a double team. So no one's gonna be open from the 3 point line. They're gonna strictly guard that, because most of the perimeter guys uh, on Philly are jump shooters, mid range or 3 point shooters. No really strong attackers other than Maxi or Harden. So I mean, there's really not much to guard there. And if you have Bam Adebayo down in the post defensively too, they're able
yeah.
to help. That he can help defend the attackers. So yeah, that's the reason why I feel like Philly is struggling from the 3 point line, specifically in that first game. And if it goes the same way, they're going to continue to struggle from three again.
Yeah, and we talked about that in game one. The Heat's defense is based on protecting the rim and the paint. And as that game one wore on into the second half, those Miami defenders were outside of the paint. And basically, for the whole second half, none of them had even a foot in the paint. And
Mhm.
they obviously not respecting any paint presence at all with the 76ers offense. But I have a question for you here. It seemed like in the first half, the Sixers got out to that 1 point halftime lead because they played zone. And that zone
Mhm.
seemed to be a little disruptive to the Heat. So if you're the Heat skipper here, so to speak, what adjustments would you make to counteract the fact
Mhm.
that the Sixers are probably going to come out of the gate in game two tonight playing zone defense because that's really their only choice. They got torched in man
Yeah.
situations. But how would Miami adjust to that, in your opinion?
Really, it's just to make their 3 point shots. I feel like, that's
Yep.
the zone breaker there. Or if you play Bam on the high post. I mean, I think when they did this, I don't think Bam was on the court, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, because Bam plays that high post really well. He's a good passer from the high post. So being able to do that, and also have guys on the court that can shoot the three ball well, that's gonna break the zone pretty easily. I think one thing to notice is I don't think Duncan Robinson saw a minute on the court in that first game. I'm not sure what's going on there. He got paid a lot of money to do his job, and his job is to hit the three ball. It's going to be interesting to see if he shows up in this game today. So because
That's a
if he can
great
get
point.
in there, if he gets in there, him and Harrell come off the bench there to get the three ball going. The Philly's not going to have the same successful second quarter they did in the first game.
Great point. Great point, Ronald.